links the Dullahan to the Sidhe, pronounced she, often translated as fairies, or the other crowd. In Irish mythology, the Sidhe are not the whimsical, benevolent creatures of Victorian imagination. They are a powerful, often dangerous, supernatural race who inhabit the otherworld, a realm that exists parallel to our own. This otherworld was closely associated with death and the ancestors. The Dullahan, with its eerie appearance and connection to death, could be seen as a particularly malevolent member of the Sidhe, a dark messenger from the realm of the dead. Watch this story in full. Subscribe, comment and like my channel, Green Mythology, for mythology and history. Gateway 2, the captivating worlds of ancient myth. Now watch the story in full please. Genesis of Dread. Unraveling the origins of the Dullahan. The precise origins of the Dullahan are shrouded in the mists of time, intertwined with the ancient beliefs and practices of the Celtic people who once held sway over Ireland. Tracing the lineage of such a figure requires a journey back to pre-Christian times, where deities and supernatural entities played a vital role in shaping the understanding of the world and the afterlife. One prominent theory connects the Dullahan to the ancient Celtic god Crom Duv, meaning Black Crooked One. Crom Duv was a complex deity, associated with fertility, agriculture, and, perhaps more ominously, with sacrifice. Historical accounts and folklore suggest that Crom Duv demanded human sacrifices, often involving decapitation, to ensure bountiful harvests. With the arrival of Christianity in Ireland, many pagan deities were demonized or relegated to the realm of folklore. It is theorized that the memory of Crom Duv, and the gruesome rituals associated with him, may have morphed over time into the figure of the Dullahan, a spectral being forever carrying the severed head that once represented sacrifice. This connection provides a compelling explanation for the headless nature of the Dullahan and its association with death. The act of carrying the head could be interpreted as a perpetual reminder of the ancient sacrifices, a lingering echo of a forgotten god. Another perspective links the Dullahan to the Sidhe, pronounced she, often translated as fairies, or the other crowd. In Irish mythology, the Sidhe are not the whimsical, benevolent creatures of Victorian imagination. They are a powerful, often dangerous, supernatural race who inhabit the otherworld, a realm that exists parallel to our own. This otherworld was closely associated with death and the ancestors. The Dullahan, with its eerie appearance and connection to death, could be seen as a particularly malevolent member of the Sidhe, a dark messenger from the realm of the dead. This interpretation aligns with descriptions of the Dullahan as a demonic fairy, in some folklore accounts, emphasizing its supernatural and potentially malevolent nature. Furthermore, the figure of the headless being is not unique to Irish mythology. Headless figures appear in various cultures around the world, often associated with battles, sudden death, or the restless spirits of those who met a violent end. This universal motif suggests a deep-seated human fascination and fear surrounding decapitation and the separation of the head from the body, the very essence of life. In the context of Irish folklore, the Dullahan may have absorbed and synthesized these broader cultural anxieties, becoming a uniquely Irish manifestation of this ancient fear. The evolution of the Dullahan myth likely involved a confluence of these factors. The memory of pagan deities like Crom Duv, the association with the powerful and sometimes dangerous Sidhe, and the universal fear of the headless form all contributed to the creation of this enduring figure of dread. As Christianity solidified its hold on Ireland, the Dullahan, like many other pagan remnants, was often cast in a more sinister light, becoming a demonic entity and a harbinger of doom. A visage of terror, describing the unsettling appearance of the Dullahan. The sheer terror evoked by the Dullahan stems in no small part from its horrifying and unsettling appearance. Descriptions of this spectral figure vary across different regions and tellings, but certain core elements consistently paint a picture designed to chill the blood and inspire dread. The most iconic image of the Dullahan is that of a headless horseman, astride a magnificent, jet-black steed. This horse is no ordinary animal. It is often described as being as dark as night itself, with fiery red eyes that pierce through the darkness. The horse moves with an unnatural speed and silence, its hooves making no sound as it gallops across the countryside, further adding to the eerie and otherworldly nature of its rider. Where the head should be, there is a gaping void. However, the Dullahan is not truly without a head. Instead, it carries its own severed head, typically held aloft in one hand or tucked under an arm. This detached head is no ordinary severed head. It is a grotesque and terrifying spectacle in itself. The skin is often described as being the color and texture of moldy cheese or stale dough, an unnatural pallor that speaks of death and decay. The features are often contorted into a wide, malevolent grin that stretches from ear to ear, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. This grin is not one of amusement but rather a chilling rictus of death, a constant reminder of the fate that awaits those who cross the Dullahan's path. Perhaps the most unsettling feature of the Dullahan's head is its eyes. These are not lifeless or vacant. Instead, they are described as glowing with an unnatural, fiery light, often red or sometimes black as pitch. These eyes possess a terrifying power, capable of seeing across vast distances, even through the darkest nights and the thickest fog. They can pierce through walls and locked doors, leaving no place safe from the Dullahan's gaze. Some accounts even suggest that the Dullahan can see the very soul of a person through these spectral eyes. The body of the Dullahan is often described as being tall and imposing, sometimes even gigantic in stature. It is typically clad in dark, flowing garments, often black or a deep, unsettling gray. In some descriptions, the Dullahan is seen wearing the attire of a coachman, further linking it to the image of the Costa, the death coach. Adding to the macabre imagery, the Dullahan is often depicted wielding a whip fashioned from a human spine. This gruesome weapon is not used for riding the horse but rather as a tool to lash out at those who dare to watch the Dullahan as it passes. Some tales claim that the crack of this spinal whip can be heard for miles around, a chilling precursor to death. In some regional variations, the Dullahan is not depicted as a horseman but as the driver of a black carriage known as the Costa, or death coach. This carriage is pulled by headless black horses and is said to move with incredible speed and silence. The carriage itself is often adorned with morbid details, such as candles burning in skulls and the interior lined with coffins. The Dullahan, in this form, sits as the silent driver, a truly terrifying spectacle of impending doom. The overall impression of the Dullahan's appearance is one of profound unease and terror. Every detail, from the headless form to the grotesque head and the spinal whip, is designed to inspire fear and to emphasize the Dullahan's role as a creature of death. To encounter the Dullahan, even in a fleeting glimpse, was considered a dire omen, a sure sign that one's time in the mortal realm was drawing to a close. Powers and portents. The ominous abilities of the Dullahan. The terrifying appearance of the Dullahan is matched, if not surpassed, by its ominous powers and abilities. This spectral figure is not merely a frightening sight, it is an active harbinger of death, possessing abilities that transcend the natural world and inspire profound dread. The most significant and widely recognized power of the Dullahan is its ability to foretell death. When the Dullahan rides through the countryside, it is said to be on a mission to claim a soul. As it approaches its intended victim, the Dullahan will call out the name in a booming, spectral voice. This is not a mere announcement. Once the name is called, the person whose name is uttered is said to immediately die. There is no escape, no bargaining, no way to avoid the Dullahan's deadly pronouncement. This power makes the Dullahan a figure of ultimate authority in the realm of death, a being whose arrival signifies the end of mortal existence. Adding to its terrifying presence, the Dullahan possesses supernatural vision. Despite lacking a head in the traditional sense, the glowing eyes on its severed head can see across vast distances, even in the darkest of nights. They can penetrate through walls, locked doors, and any other physical barriers, leaving no place safe from the Dullahan's gaze. This all-seeing ability underscores the inevitability of death. The Dullahan will find its intended victim, no matter where they may try to hide. The Dullahan is also said to possess immense strength. Tales speak of it effortlessly wielding its spinal whip and controlling its powerful black steed. This strength reinforces its image as an unstoppable force, a being that cannot be resisted or overcome by mortal means. Another unsettling ability attributed to the Dullahan is its capacity to pass through locked doors and other barriers. This further emphasizes its otherworldly nature and its connection to the realm of spirits. Just as death itself is an inevitable passage, the Dullahan can move freely between worlds, unhindered by the constraints of the physical realm. In some accounts, it is said that the Dullahan carries its head not just for seeing but also for smelling out the dying. This macabre ability further enhances its role as a collector of souls, a being intimately connected with the process of death and decay. While the Dullahan is primarily a harbinger of death, some folklore suggests that it can also be a protector of certain places or families. However, these instances are rare and often tied to specific local legends. The overwhelming portrayal of the Dullahan remains that of a fearsome entity associated with mortality and the end of life. The powers of the Dullahan are not to be trifled with. Encounters with this spectral figure are almost always fatal, or at the very least, a dire omen of impending death. Its abilities underscore its role as a powerful entity from the otherworld, a being whose presence signifies the crossing of the threshold between life and death. Encounters and evasions. Tales of confrontation with the Headless Horseman. Down through the generations, countless tales have been whispered of encounters with the dreaded Dullahan. These stories, often passed down through oral tradition, serve as both warnings and a testament to the enduring fear and fascination surrounding this spectral figure. Many encounters with the Dullahan are described as fleeting glimpses, often on dark and stormy nights. Travelers might hear the thunderous yet silent gallop of the black steed, or catch a glimpse of a dark figure riding through the mist, the eerie glow of its detached head illuminating the darkness. Even these brief encounters are enough to instill terror, as they are understood to be a sign that death is near. In some tales, individuals have the misfortune of a more direct confrontation with the Dullahan. These encounters often involve the Dullahan calling out the name of someone nearby, sealing their fate. There are stories of entire families huddled in their homes, listening in dread as the Dullahan's spectral voice echoes through the night, calling out the name of a loved one. Despite the seemingly unstoppable nature of the Dullahan, folklore also offers some potential ways to ward it off or at least deter it. One of the most widely recognized methods is the use of gold. The Dullahan is said to have an aversion to gold, and the sight of it can sometimes cause it to turn away or vanish. This belief might stem from the association of gold with wealth and the earthly realm, which holds no sway over the creatures of the otherworld. Carrying a gold coin or wearing a gold item was sometimes considered a form of protection against the Dullahan. Another method mentioned in folklore is the act of throwing dust or earth in the Dullahan's path. This act of grounding, of connecting with the earth, might disrupt the spectral nature of the Dullahan and cause it to falter. However, it is important to note that these methods are not always effective, and attempting to confront or evade the Dullahan is generally considered a foolish and dangerous endeavor. The Dullahan is a powerful entity, and mortal attempts to thwart its purpose are often met with dire consequences. One particularly chilling aspect of Dullahan encounters is the prohibition against watching it. Those who dare to peer at the Dullahan as it passes are said to risk having their eyes whipped out by its spinal whip. This serves as a stark warning against curiosity and a reinforcement of the fear surrounding this spectral figure. The tales of Dullahan encounters often reflect the anxieties and beliefs of the time. In rural Ireland, where death was a constant presence, the Dullahan served as a tangible representation of mortality, a reminder of the fragility of life. These stories also highlight the importance of respecting the supernatural and the potential dangers of the otherworld. While many encounters are portrayed as terrifying and fatal, some folklore hints at a more nuanced interpretation. In rare instances, the Dullahan might be seen as a messenger rather than the direct cause of death. Its appearance could serve as a warning, allowing individuals to prepare for the inevitable or to settle their affairs. However, these interpretations are less common than the portrayal of the Dullahan as a direct harbinger of doom. The enduring popularity of these encounter tales speaks to the power and longevity of the Dullahan myth. They continue to be shared and retold, keeping the legend alive and ensuring that the Headless Horseman of Ireland remains a chilling figure in the collective imagination. Variations across the Emerald Isle. Regional interpretations of the Dullahan. While the core image of the Headless Horseman remains consistent, the folklore surrounding the Dullahan exhibits regional variations across Ireland, reflecting the diverse local traditions and beliefs that have shaped the island's rich mythological landscape. In some parts of Ireland, particularly in the west, the depiction of the Dullahan as the driver of the Coshtabodda, the death coach, is more prevalent. This variation emphasizes the role of the Dullahan as a collector of souls, with the silent, black carriage serving as a vehicle to transport the deceased to the otherworld. The soundless approach of the coach adds an extra layer of terror, as it can be upon its victims before they even realize its presence. In other regions, the specific details of the Dullahan's appearance might differ slightly. The description of the severed head, the color of the eyes, or the nature of the spinal whip might vary depending on local traditions. These variations highlight the localized nature of folklore and how individual communities have interpreted and adapted the core myth over time. The association of the Dullahan with specific locations or families is another form of regional variation. Some tales might link the Dullahan to ancient battlefields, where headless warriors are said to roam, or to specific families who have a long history intertwined with the supernatural. These localized connections add depth and complexity to the myth, grounding it in the specific history and geography of different regions. The perceived malevolence of the Dullahan can also vary. While generally seen as a terrifying figure, some regional folklore might portray it as a more neutral entity, simply fulfilling its role as a messenger of death without any particular malice. This variation could reflect different cultural attitudes towards death and the supernatural in different parts of Ireland. Furthermore, the methods of warding off the Dullahan might also differ regionally. While gold is a common deterrent, other local beliefs might suggest different protective measures, such as specific prayers, charms, or the avoidance of certain places at particular times. These regional variations are not necessarily contradictory but rather represent different facets of a complex and multifaceted myth. They demonstrate the dynamic nature of folklore, constantly evolving and adapting as it is passed down through generations and across different communities. Exploring these variations provides a richer and more nuanced understanding of the Dullahan and its place within the broader tapestry of Irish mythology. Symbolism and significance. Deciphering the meaning of the Headless Horseman. Beyond the chilling tales and terrifying descriptions, the figure of the Dullahan carries significant symbolic weight within Irish culture, representing fundamental aspects of life, death, and the supernatural. The most obvious symbolism associated with the Dullahan is that of death itself. The headless form, the grotesque severed head, and the role as a harbinger of doom all point to the Dullahan as a personification of mortality. Its appearance serves as a stark reminder of the inevitability of death, a force that ultimately claims everyone, regardless of their status or power in life. The headless nature of the Dullahan can also be interpreted as a symbol of the loss of identity or the severing of the connection between the physical body and the spirit. In many cultures, the head is seen as the seat of consciousness and the essence of the individual. The Dullahan's lack of an attached head could represent the transition from the mortal realm to the spirit world, where earthly identities may fade away. The black horse upon which the Dullahan rides is another potent symbol, often associated with death, the underworld, and the journey to the afterlife in various mythologies. The silent and swift movement of the horse further emphasizes the relentless and inescapable nature of death. The spinal whip wielded by the Dullahan can be seen as a symbol of power and control over life and death. The use of a human spine adds a macabre element, highlighting the physical and often brutal reality of mortality in times past. The aversion of the Dullahan to gold might symbolize the powerlessness of earthly wealth and possessions in the face of death. Gold, often associated with material success and worldly power, holds no sway over the creatures of the otherworld, underscoring the ultimate futility of material pursuits in the grand scheme of existence. Culturally, the Dullahan serves as a reminder of the importance of respecting the supernatural and the boundaries between the mortal and spirit realms. The fear it inspires reinforces the idea that there are forces beyond human comprehension and control that must be acknowledged and treated with caution. The enduring popularity of the Dullahan myth also speaks to the Irish cultural tradition of confronting and even finding a certain dark humor in the face of death. While terrifying, the Dullahan is also a figure of folklore, a character in stories that have been passed down and embellished over time. This act of storytelling can be a way of processing and coping with the anxieties surrounding mortality. Furthermore, the Dullahan can be seen as a link to Ireland's ancient pagan past. The potential connection to deities like Crum Dubh and the association with the Sidhe tie the myth to older belief systems that predate Christianity. The continued presence of the Dullahan in folklore represents a survival of these ancient traditions, albeit often in a transformed and sometimes demonized form. In conclusion, the Dullahan is far more than just a spooky figure in Irish folklore. It is a rich and complex symbol that embodies fundamental human anxieties about death, the afterlife, and the power of the supernatural. Its enduring presence in Irish culture speaks to the deep-seated significance of these themes and the enduring power of mythology to shape our understanding of the world and our place within it. The Dullahan in the modern era, a headless legacy. Despite its ancient origins, the legend of the Dullahan has not faded into obscurity. Instead, this headless horseman has galloped into the modern era, finding new life and interpretations in literature, film, television, and popular culture, demonstrating the enduring power of this chilling mythological figure. One of the most famous literary depictions of a headless horseman is undoubtedly the antagonist in Washington Irving's classic short story, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. While Irving's tale is set in America, many scholars and folklorists believe that the character of the Headless Horseman was directly inspired by the Irish Dullahan. The descriptions of the headless rider on a black horse, the association with death and terror, and the overall eerie atmosphere of the story bear striking similarities to the traditional Irish myth. Irving, with his own ancestral connections to Cornwall, which shares Celtic roots with Ireland, may have been familiar with variations of the headless rider folklore. In more recent literature, the Dullahan has been reimagined and explored in various ways. Some authors have stayed true to the traditional portrayal, using the Dullahan as a terrifying harbinger of death in horror stories and fantasy novels. Others have taken a more creative approach, offering new interpretations of the Dullahan's origins, motivations, and even its personality. In some modern works, the Dullahan might be portrayed as a tragic figure, a cursed soul bound to its spectral duty, or even as a misunderstood entity with its own unique perspective on the world. The Dullahan has also made numerous appearances in film and television. In animated features, live-action movies, and television series, the Headless Horseman often serves as a memorable and iconic villain or a symbol of the supernatural. These adaptations often draw upon the visual elements of the myth, emphasizing the terrifying appearance of the headless rider and its black steed. Video games have also embraced the Dullahan, featuring it as a formidable enemy or a key character in fantasy and horror settings. The unique visual and thematic elements of the Dullahan make it a compelling addition to the world of interactive entertainment. Even in more light-hearted contexts, such as Halloween decorations and costumes, the image of the Headless Horseman, heavily influenced by the Dullahan, remains a popular and recognizable symbol of the spooky and supernatural. The continued presence of the Dullahan in modern culture speaks to the enduring power of its core themes and its striking visual imagery. The fear of death and the fascination with the supernatural remain potent forces in the human imagination, and the Dullahan serves as a compelling embodiment of these anxieties. Furthermore, the modern interpretations of the Dullahan often reflect contemporary concerns and perspectives. The reimagining of the Dullahan as a tragic or misunderstood figure, for example, might resonate with modern audiences who are drawn to more nuanced and complex portrayals of traditionally villainous characters. The legacy of the Dullahan extends beyond direct adaptations. The archetype of the headless rider has become a recurring motif in various forms of media, often evoking a sense of dread, mystery, and the supernatural. This enduring archetype owes a significant debt to the original Irish myth of the Dullahan. In conclusion, the Dullahan has successfully transitioned from the realm of ancient Irish folklore to the modern world, continuing to capture the imagination and inspire both fear and fascination. Its enduring presence in literature, film, television, and popular culture is a testament to the power and longevity of this iconic headless harbinger of death. Conclusion: the enduring gallop of the Headless Horseman. The Dullahan, the Headless Horseman of Irish mythology, stands as a testament to the enduring power of folklore and the human fascination with the macabre and the supernatural. From its shadowy origins possibly rooted in ancient Celtic deities to its terrifying depiction as a spectral rider carrying its own severed head, the Dullahan embodies a primal fear, the inevitability of death. Its ominous powers, including the ability to foretell death by calling out names, its supernatural vision, and its unstoppable presence, paint a picture of a being that transcends the mortal realm. Encounters with the Dullahan, recounted in countless tales across generations, serve as both warnings and a reflection of the anxieties surrounding mortality in rural Ireland. The regional variations in the Dullahan myth highlight the dynamic nature of folklore, adapting and evolving within different communities while retaining its core essence. The rich symbolism associated with the Dullahan, from death and the loss of identity to the powerlessness of earthly wealth, underscores its profound cultural significance within Irish society. Even in the modern era, the Dullahan continues to gallop through our imaginations, inspiring literature, film, television, and popular culture. Its enduring presence demonstrates the timeless appeal of this chilling figure and the enduring power of mythology to shape our understanding of life, death, and the mysteries that lie beyond. The Dullahan is more than just a spooky story. It is a cultural touchstone, a reminder of our mortality, and a fascinating glimpse into the rich and complex tapestry of Irish mythology. As long as stories are told and the veil between worlds continues to intrigue us, the thunderous yet silent gallop of the Headless Horseman will continue to echo through the Emerald Isle and beyond, a chilling testament to the enduring legacy of the Dullahan.